I have 10 reasons why you are not losing weight on your GLP-1 agonist, semaglutide or tirzepatide, better known as Zepbound and Wegovy. My name is Dr. G. I am an internal medicine doctor in Hollywood, Florida, and I specialize in lifestyle modification, coaching, and weight loss management, especially with the medications, GLP-1 agonist medications like semaglutide and Wegovy. And today, we're going to talk about 10 reasons that you are not losing your weight on the GLP-1 agonist medications. Yeah, this is a big sticking point for a lot of people to come into the office already on the medications or are starting the medications just out, and they got the hair on fire because, doc, what's going on? I'm not losing weight, man. They're bouncing off the walls. They're calling to ask. Front desk is, calling me every 5 minutes, wanting to talk to me directly to ask me what's happening. Why aren't I losing weight? So let's talk about the 10 reasons that I have found in practice, in real world patients, as to what's going on. Number one, impatience, meaning you gotta be patient. I have patients who I have given the medication on a Monday and are calling the office on Thursday stating they are not losing weight. It's only been 4 days. They haven't even made it to the first week yet. It takes time. Some patients are not as sensitive to the medication and need higher dosing. So that's going to take time to build up, right? We want to do that in a stepwise fashion to make sure that you don't get sick. So you got to be patient with the medications. I've said before, and I'll say it again, these medications are not magic bullets. It's going to take time. It's not an antibiotic. This is a treatment that needs time in many patients to build up to a level to hold your appetite down. In the meantime, you have other homework. You've got to start thinking about your medications, the reasons, the who, the what, the when, the why, the how of your nutrition. You've got to get that together, and you also got to pick out some exercises that you got to do. So you've got other work to do, right? In the meantime, the medications will get up to the right dosing for you, and it will eventually hold down your appetite so that way you can get your nutrition together and get your workouts together. So you've got to be patient. Number two, you may be on a dose that you think is adequate, but you actually do have to go up to a higher dose. That's a decision to be made with your healthcare provider. You have to slowly but surely get the maximum dose that you tolerate that holds your appetite down so that way you can make the other changes in your lifestyle that you need to make. So tip number two, the reason number two that you're not losing weight is because you're on a too low dose. It's not effective for you. Everyone is different. They tried to bring everyone in the trials to the highest effective dose, which was 15 milligrams for tirzepatide and 2.4 milligrams for semaglutide, Zepbound and Wegovy, respectively. But in real life, we have found not everyone needs to be on the highest dose. We need to titrate up until we have the maximum effect of appetite suppression with appropriate weight loss and hopefully minimal side effects. So it's possible that you're not on the right dose. Number three, you need to optimize and re-strategize, change your approach to your nutrition and your exercise. This is something that we talk about ad nauseum here in the office. Always be looking at what's working, hold on to what works, and take off things that don't. Make sure that this process, although it's going to be tough, making new good habits and breaking old bad habits, it's an uncomfortable process. If it were not uncomfortable, you would have done it already a long time ago, right? If it's uncomfortable because your body has to now do something that it likes to do, which is sit on the couch, maybe eat these foods, not pushing your body to do different things. Until you like these new habits, these bad habits are going to be hard to do. So make sure that you are increasing your activity and decreasing your calories appropriately. Those are two habits that you probably have built up into the point that you are now with your weight, and increasing your ability to have mindful eating while you are eating the bowl of food, the plate of food in front of you. Mindful eating. While you're eating it, understanding, okay, I'm getting proteins out of this. I'm getting, my veggies and my fruit out of this. I'm getting this. I'm purposefully eating these carbs, but I'm eating it because I'm hungry, or I'm eating it because I need these macros in my body right now. And I'm not eating it because I'm sad. I'm not eating it because I'm angry. I'm not eating it because I'm tired. I'm not eating it because I'm happy. You're not eating it for any other emotion except for hunger, which is the only human emotion that food can actually cure. So, yeah, lots to think about right there with tip number 3, analyzing all these things as you're going along. Also, if you've optimized them, you think you've optimized them the best you can, you may need to add a nutritionist or a dietitian into the mix. This is a luxury for some, but it's a necessity for others. But this is another consult. If you don't have insurance or you don't have the means, it may take you learning the skill, at least some of the necessary skills, learning and reading. So that's going to be, a ramping up. There's a learning curve to that. So you have to be patient with that as well. Another probably more often overlooked part of your optimization process is to make sure you're not drinking more alcohol than you should be. Alcohol is empty calories, and it also promotes overeating and eating the wrong kinds of foods. And making poor decisions in general with your nutrition is something that many people end up doing. So also take a look at your alcohol intake. That may be the hill that you have to get over in order to increase and optimize your weight loss, and is why you're probably not making the headway that you should be making. Reason number 4. Optimizing your protein intake and also your fiber intake. Protein intake is absolutely key for a good amount of weight loss, and also to keep the lean muscle mass that you need to keep on your body as you lose weight. Again, we've talked about it before. Losing weight is a process where if you're not careful, you will lose both too much lean muscle mass as you lose the adipose tissue or fat mass in your body. So we want to hold up the lean muscle mass as much as possible by doing 2 things. That is optimizing our protein intake, 1 to 1.2 or a little bit more if you can tolerate that, grams per kilogram per day. That's where the sweet spot is. And if you can do that and also add resistance training to your new exercise routine, 2 to 3 weeks is good enough. Get yourself to failure maybe once or twice. About once a week is cool enough. Close to failure, maybe within 1 rep or 2 reps of your failure, of your maximum amount of reps or weight. Yeah, it's going to make those muscles pop. And as you get those muscles to get, growing, you're also going to entice more caloric burn, which adds even more weight loss over time. Not only that, over time you have a more lean muscle mass on your body versus the amount of adipose tissue on your body makes you an overall healthier person. And people with higher lean muscle mass as they get older and elderly just do better. Less comorbid diseases, less problems with your health in general. So protein, absolutely important. Also fiber. Your fiber intake for a female, literature says 25 grams per day, and guys should get about 38 grams a day. That number seems to tail off a little bit after age 50, but that's a good rule to follow. 25 grams for women and 38 grams for men. That's the fiber intake. That's what we're shooting for in our diet. If you can get that daily, excellent work with your fiber intake. Helps you feel fuller longer. It helps your bowel movements. It's been shown to help with weight loss as well. Protein also helps you feel fuller quicker as well. So lots and lots of benefits from optimizing and taking a look at your protein intake and your fiber intake. The protein intake actually should be around 30 to 35% of your caloric intake on a daily basis. So that's another something that you can optimize and make sure that you're getting that much. It's very hard to do. Like if you think about it, you're like, hey, well, great. Dr. G's telling me I could get 30% of protein, and not a lot of people can reach that goal. But hey, that's what we're reaching for. We're reaching for a goal and trying to get as close to it as possible. And no perfect patients here, right? No perfect people. But you striving for these goals is what's going to get you the gains and the losses of weight that we're looking for. Reason number 5, that you are not losing your weight on these medications. You're simply not taking the medications the way you should be taking them. The medications are a long-term medication, once a week, injected just under the skin, And they act like GLP-1, the natural occurring hormone in your body when you eat, is released by the cells in your intestine. And this medication mimics the GLP-1, the natural occurring GLP-1 that you have in your body, and I have, and everyone has, but it's a lot stronger, it's a lot louder, it works on the receptors and it grabs on and tighter, and it does have a longer effect. It's not degraded by the DPP4 enzyme, which breaks down the GLP-1 agonist, which basically one protein is designed to break down another protein. One protein is liberated, it's doing its job in circulation, and our body don't allow hormones to just do their job all day. You don't need it all the time. So there's another hormone or another protein, another enzyme, so I should say, another enzyme comes along and it starts eating at the molecule until it's all gone or it's inactivated. The thing with these medications are they're different. They're not the same one that you make. So the enzymes in your body that are built to break down naturally occurring GLP-1 are not effective or as effective on GLP-1 agonist medications like Tirzepatide and Semaglutide. So they stick around for longer. You only got to inject it once, and that medication is there doing its job for about a week. So if you decide that you're going to skip 2 weeks, you're not dedicated, you don't come into the office, or you forget for 2 weeks, oh, I have these medications here in the fridge, I guess I'll inject another time. Especially at the beginning of your journey, you're really not going to optimize how the medication works. So it's imperative that at least I'd say the 2 to 3 months at the beginning, you have to be very, very dedicated to, injecting the medications on time, and you have a window, the day before and the day after your injection day. That's what they did in the studies, and they did just fine. But if you skip 7 to 14 days and go back to that dose, you're just starting all over, and you're just wasting your money and actually just building frustration. And you're gonna come to me and you're gonna say, Doc, I'm not losing any weight, but you've been here once in the last, 3 weeks. I haven't seen you in about a month. And of course, the medication I gave you 3 weeks ago has been gone, and you probably have been as not dedicated to your nutrition and your exercises as you have been to getting the medication injected into your body. So you got to blame yourself on that one. You have to get the medication on a consistent basis every week for at least the first 2 to 3 months on the medication if you're going to be on it that long. Reason number 6 why you are not losing weight on the medication, you're on a plateau. And you know what we got to do now, right? Got to celebrate the plateau. Now that we're done celebrating, let's talk about the plateau. I've done a video on this specifically on plateaus, and I love the plateau because it means that your body has now reached a new point. You've been losing weight, and now you're on a point where your body's beginning to optimize. It's beginning to groove. It's beginning to retool. It says, hey, Dr. G has been giving you these medications. You have been doing things with your nutrition. You're changing things up. You have now gotten out of the house. You're doing 30 minutes 3-4 times a week. I'm going to use the calories that you're now taking and optimize it and keep your weight flat at 190. I know you want to get to 130, 140, but no. Gonna hold us at 190. You're gonna have to do something else to get me to move because you're gonna try to kill us. You're gonna make us go to zero. You're trying to be our demise. But that's just the way the body does. It works. It optimizes as you get to certain levels. So you're gonna have to do something else. You're gonna have to either shake up the exercise or shake up the nutrition and cause more of a deficit again to get down to this desired weight. It is what it is. Or you do both, or you increase your exercise, increase intensity, change it up, and decrease your caloric intake in order to continue to get off of that plateau and go to the next. You're gonna hit another plateau and we're gonna have another party. Yeah! A great tip for getting off the plateau, maybe it's your protein intake. Continue to prioritize and make sure you optimize the protein intake and resistance training and kind of hack into the caloric burn that more lean muscle mass brings to the table before you go changing your caloric intake down and increasing your intensity. Go ahead and tune into what is all of the resistance training that is at your fingertips. So that's a little pro tip right there to get you off of the plateau without really having to, eat less or exercise necessarily even more. Number 7, the reason why you aren't losing weight, you're too stressed out. There's something else happening with your body, with your physiology. When we get stressed out, we release a ton of this hormone called cortisol. And cortisol releases a bunch of glucose, and the glucose releases other stress hormones, and it makes this derangement of your metabolism. It just causes your metabolism to not be as efficient. I'm not saying that it's going to cause you to gain a ton of weight, but it can impede your weight loss journey, so you're not losing the weight that you believe you should be for the amount of caloric deficit you have. So imperative that you do the best you can to mitigate and to address real world stress. If you're under stress, don't ignore it. Get the counseling that you need, find time for yourself, relieve the stress. The great thing is that working out is going to help you with relieving a lot of this stress. So incorporate that into your stress relief, your stress management as you continue to make these lifestyle changes, as you continue to look for ways to continue to lose weight. So do not ignore the real physiology of a metabolic derangement as a result of stress. Stress also decreases sleep quality, and sleep is absolutely imperative. Good sleep, at least 6.5 to 7.5 hours of sleep is what's the optimal range. Weird thing is, if you sleep too much, anything past, we'll talk about that. That's actually number 8. You're not optimizing your sleep. Think about that. So sleep. If you're not getting the 6.5 to 7.5 hours of sleep, you're actually going to increase your obesity on one end and other comorbid diseases. If you get more than 10 hours of sleep, you can actually increase obesity, you can increase heart disease, you can increase hypertension. I think that's a function of just being, I don't want to say the L word, but lazy. If you're lazy, if you're just not moving your body for enough hours in a day, you're just going to end up with more comorbidities. So it's absolutely important to not get too much sleep, but too little sleep puts too much stress on the body, and that also slows down your ability to lose weight. You actually end up eating, mindless eating instead of mindful eating. And then the metabolics of the body just don't work correctly when you don't have the right recovery time. Recovery time is absolutely necessary in order to build muscle up, to get to reset the brain, reset the rest of the body, to get in the intestines. Everything needs to reset for the next day and for the next set of challenges that you're going to put your body through, and your body gets put through by the environment. So absolutely necessary to incorporate at least 6.5 hours to about 7.5 hours, up to 8 hours a night of sleep a day. Reason number 9 why you are not losing the weight on these GLP-1 agonist medications is you may have another comorbid disease, meaning you may have diabetes, which in the studies showed the diabetics tended to lose less weight on these medications versus non-diabetics. It's very interesting. It was like a 4 to 7% body mass or weight decrease in the type 2 diabetics versus those who don't have type 2 diabetes in the weight loss trials. And of course, I think that may be just because, diabetes in and of itself is a metabolic disease. It causes you to have issues with your metabolism and how you use and incorporate energy. So it's going to take more optimizing of your diabetes and optimizing of your other comorbid diseases in order to lose weight. If you have cardiovascular disease, if you have kidney disease, if you have any of these other diseases, liver disease, any of these other diseases at all that is uncontrolled, it could even be arthritis. It could be any other inflammatory disease of, ulcerative colitis or IBS, which I've never had a patient on have one of those conditions and be on these medications, but there's no overt contraindication. I got that question from a patient last week who asked me, hey, how do patients with IBS do on these meds? I haven't treated a patient on one of these with IBS and on GLP-1, but there's no overt contraindication for it. Now, I would be careful with patients with IBS-C or IBS with constipation, who tend to be more on the constipated side, on increasing the dose too quickly on them, because you don't want to cause straight up constipation or an exacerbation of their IBS to constipation. So I would be careful with those. The IBS with diarrhea, not very often do I end up getting patients with diarrhea on the GLP-1 agonist medications. I still would be careful, of course, but less of a concern, I should say, than the IBS with constipation patients. But Again, having any other comorbid disease that you have under control is absolutely necessary in order to be able to do the things that you need to do to lose the weight. Not necessarily directly related to the medication. It's more a thing of, okay, now you got to eat right. Now you got to work out right. You got to have everything's got to be in tune as best as possible so you can go ahead and make these lifestyle changes. If you have sleep apnea, we've got to address that. All these things should be addressed by your healthcare provider, which is an absolute reason why you should see a doctor before you start any of the GLP-1 agonists and get everything dialed in before you jump in. You don't want to get in halfway and then have to move back to, okay, well, I got to come off to all these meds because I got to address whatever it is that I need to address. We want to address those things on the front end, get on this lifestyle change, and maybe put these things in the back, in the rearview mirror, some of these things for good. And reason number 10, you are not losing on these medications. And I know this is tough to hear. Maybe this medication is not for you. I hate to say it. All medications aren't for everyone. First off, let's leave space for the possibility that if you're on semaglutide and it's not working for you, I have had many patients switch over to tirzepatide and take off like a jet, and vice versa. Patients on tirzepatide get on semaglutide and the weight comes off. Then I have patients who have gone back and forth and nothing's happening. No side effects. They really don't feel much. They're not losing weight. They're doing the things they should be doing. Losing weight, maybe 1 pound a week, which is great. But honestly, it's not the medication. It's more the lifestyle modification coaching that they're getting from me. And they're actually putting in the work on that end for the first time ever. And it's not really the medication. We take the medication away, continue the lifestyle coaching, lifestyle modification, and accountability, and making sure they have a community and someone to lean on to when times are tough. And they continue to lose 1 pound or 2 pounds a week. That is okay. It doesn't all have to be with a medication. But if you're on the medication and you see it's not working, it's quite possible the medication you're on doesn't work for you, and you may need to switch to another one. And if you've done both and you're still not feeling it, maybe the GLP-1 agonists, unfortunately for you, are not an option. So those are my top 10 things I'd like to go. Those are the reasons why, most people who are not losing on GLP-1 agonist medications, those are the reasons. Those are the things. So if you look in the comments section, you'll see I do the best I can to get to most of the general questions about the videos and everything else. But if you need a specific answer to your question and you're not getting it from your provider, then that means you will benefit from a consult from me. And we offer one-to-one consults. You can do that by giving a call to the office, or even better than that, call, or you have the option to join a coaching call. We have weekly coaching calls at 5:30. You can jump on by looking at the link in the description below, and I will see you soon.